Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
The merits of basic education, because firstly we have discussed that yes, this basic education is the particular concept that we need to involve it in our system. But now what is going to be the benefit of that basic education system? We have to discuss about the same. Firstly, craft work in school. Modern educational thought is practically unanimous in commanding the idea of educating children through some suitable form of productive work. So here in modern education system, if we talk about, somewhere we are going to get the advantage of involving that craft work in school, because this method is considered to be the most effective approach to the problem of providing an integral all-sided education, which is involving all the subjects together and helping you to understand it in better way, that how one is interconnected and how one is interrelated to each other. The same way we would be able to learn that how one individual is related to another and how we all are framing or forming the part of the single society, and ultimately we all are the part of the single nation and the whole world. It is useful on account of the following, that will discuss why the basic education is important. Education of body and mind. It is desirable because it relieves the child from tyranny of a purely academic and theoretical instructions against which its active nature is always making a healthy protest. Because sometimes it happened that children are not that much interest they are taking in mugging up or just bookish knowledge. They want some practical things. So here, when their body and mind both are involved in some activity, definitely they will start taking the interest in the same. It balances the intellectual and practical element of experience and may be made an instrument of educating the body and the mind in coordination, because simply putting the things in your mind will not bring that change. Somewhere you will not be involved with your body and somewhere you will not be involved with your mind. But both the things if are taken together and both the things we are using to bring that change in their personality, then definitely it is going to bring the overall development of a child. It also helps to remove the social barriers. The introduction of such practical productive work in education to be participated in by all the children of the nation will tend to break down the existing harmful barriers of prejudice between the manual and intellectual workers. And when we are going to involve craft as the main part of this education, so somewhere it is going to help out us in removing all these kind of barriers and the restrictions among the different groups. Means nobody would be having the feeling of prejudice or the self-pride, and there will not remain any sort of discrimination between the manual and the intellectual workers, because all would be having the same basic knowledge of the craft, and then at the next level they would be deciding what is good for them and which particular field they would like to go for. So this is going to be a very strong foundation for their growth. It will also cultivate in the only possible way a true sense of dignity of labor and of human solidarity and ethical and moral gain of incalculable significance. Incalculable means which are two great significance we are going to find out of it. It will help us to know the sense of dignity of labor. That respect will be given to all. And the human solidarity, which is based on the ethical and the moral gain. So, all these values based on this craft activity, involving this craft activity part of the education, we are going to get to know. We are going to get the benefit of that in the form of this dignity of labor also, where the respect will be there. The respect will be there for different individuals. Another benefit of introducing this craft as the part of the education is going to be, it will increase production and enhance economic growth also. Carried out intelligently and efficiently, the scheme will increase the productive capacity of the workers and will also enable them to utilize their leisure advantageously. Here, what is going to help them, that in their free time also, if we talk about, somewhere they would be involved in creating the new things, and when they are involved in this creative work at the very initial stage of their life, it will help them to increase their productive capacity also. It is going to involve them in the physical activity, which will enable them to use their own potential, which will lead to their development, the overall development. Then craft as the basis of education. From the strictly education point of view, greater concreteness and reality can be given to knowledge acquired by children by making some significant craft the basic of education, because it is going to help them to acquire the particular knowledge from the things that they are creating. Knowledge will thus become related to their life, and its various aspects will be correlated with one another. And when you are learning something, then you would be able to correlate it with the different sphere of your life. So in this way also, the craft is going to be the basic part of the education, which will help in the overall development of a child or an individual. After craft work in a school, the another merit of basic education we are taking, that is activity curriculum. In order to work out an effective and natural coordination of the various subjects, because where we want the integrated learning should be there, and to make the syllabus a means of adjusting the child intelligently and actively to his environment, the Vardha scheme laid stress on 3 centers, and these are 3 centers interestingly, that is interconnected as the foci for the curriculum. And what are these 3 principles of the element has been taken to interconnect with each other, that is the physical environment, social environment and the craft work. So here we can say that the 3 elements should be taken, the physical environment, here we can talk about the social environment, and the third one as the craft work, that is for the individual development. So if we are able to interconnect all these things together, then definitely it will lead to the development of an individual child, which is their natural meeting point, since it utilizes the resources of the former for the purpose of the later, because one will be connected with the another, and ultimately this is going to be a circle where it will lead to the growth or the success of a child. The Vardha scheme of education attempted to draft an activity curriculum, which implies that our school must be places of work, experimentation and discovery, and not for passive absorption of information imparted at second hand. So, according to this Vardha scheme of education, if we talk about, they more focused on the practical learning, where simply imparting the knowledge through the books should not be the base or the foundation of that. Instead of that, what should be there? The involvement of the children through the different work, experimentation and the discoveries that they are doing on their own, and the things they are creating on their own must be focused. It stressed this principle by advocating that all teaching should be carried on through the concrete life situations relating to craft or to social and physical environment, so that whatever a child learns becomes assimilated into his growing activities. So here the main focus or the principle was also that the teaching should be through the concrete life, and it should be related to the craft work. Anyhow, ultimately the craft must be at the center, and rest of the other subject, if we talking about the other subject like your language, the different languages you are learning. You are taking the subject social science or the science, even arithmetic if you are taking. All these subjects must be connected with the craft itself, which should be giving an idea to a child for bringing a positive change in their overall personality and helping them to be self-sufficient and self-reliant too. Learning by doing. Earlier also we have done the discussion over the same, that while you are doing the things at that time, you are learning out of the same. Means practical involvement is one of the main feature of this kind of knowledge. It sums up the educational methods of basic education. It is absolutely wrong to think that the true education is acquired from books alone. Because until and unless you are not involved in the other activities and not doing the things on your own, so it is quite difficult to acquire the full knowledge out of your surroundings or out of the particular book. Reading books is simply one thing. At one step you can say that your eyes are reading the text and out of that you are getting something in your mind. But the involvement in different activities, because that craft as a main part has been introduced in the education. So the main idea behind that was the same, to involve the children, the young children in different kinds of activities so that their potential can increase being the physical activity instead of just mugging up the things from the books. There are other methods and sources which are more helpful in acquiring the true knowledge. Means besides books, it was thought that besides books, other things are also there which can help the child or student to learn more new things and in more better and innovative ways. The chalk talk method is also not very useful. Means simply in the classroom, if the teacher is coming and writing on the board and students are listening, the lecture is not the interactive method of teaching actually. Because until and unless the interaction is not there, question answer round is not there between the students and the teacher, so obviously that knowledge will not come out. Only one way method will continue in this way. All educationists have condemned bookish knowledge. Most of the thinkers and the philosophers, if we talk about, they do not approve the bookish knowledge only. Gandhiji believed that school must be place for doing many things. And here he talked about the integrated learning, in which different subjects can be integrated together, and with the help of the craft, the students can learn the new things. In the basic education system, children acquire the knowledge of the formal school subjects as a byproduct of purposeful activities. Here if we talk about in a formal way, we know that school or any other institution is there which is providing a formal knowledge to a child or to a student. In that, the different subjects are introduced and through which they are getting a byproduct of purposeful activity. So, besides that, here if we talk about, Gandhiji was of the view that this is one of the important parts to involve the different activities, even the art and craft also, to be the part of basic education. The another merit of basic education if we discuss, that is social activities and community life. The cornerstone of basic education lies in the activities and the community life of school. So, if we talk about the Western philosophers and the thinkers, you must be knowing they have introduced the different kinds of concepts, including the kindergarten, where they talked about involving the children in the different activities. Same way, Mahatma Gandhi also focused on the same thing, that activities must be the integral part of any basic education. Apart from craft, we talk about productive activities and occupations find an important place in the curriculum of basic school. Means if somebody is going to get the knowledge based on that basic education system, at least they must be able to involved in the different craft activities. They should be involved in the different productive activities, as well as they must get help for their occupation. And that's why the concept of earning while learning was applicable here also. Living together and doing together is the soul of any progressive system of education. And the basic system fully incorporates this in its curriculum and methods of teaching. Means while you are working in group and while you are generating things together, definitely it is going to have the more productive results. So, for example, if an individual here we are talking is working on something and just getting earning, or that production is doing 1 unit. Clear? But at the same time, if we are going to involve the different individuals together and they are learning together, living together and doing the work together as a part of the community, what will happen? As a group, if we talk about, the more productivity will be there. Whether the productivity we are talking in the sense of knowledge, or we are talking about the outcomes that we are getting out of the same. The next one is the another merit of basic education, that is self-sufficiency. All the points, all the merits that we are discussing here are interrelated and interconnected to each other. Because while we are talking about learning while doing or learning by doing, or when we are talking about earning while learning, so all these and even the self-sufficiency, they all are interconnected with each other. Gandhiji felt that the educational system as introduced by the foreigners in India was expensive, and that's why due to the socio-economic condition of India, it was found it is not possible for all to afford it, because that system, the schools and the institutions were opened up, and the system that was introduced with the lots of subjects and the material required for that, it was not possible for all to afford. And it was very difficult for a poor country like India to spread education in the same way. If we would be following the same method, it would be quite difficult to continue with the same process if it followed that system. So, self-sufficiency, that's why the craft was involved in that, so that while the students are learning the things, while they are getting the education, at the same time they should earn something and they should fulfill all their basic needs instead of getting dependent on the other. So, self-dependent is one of the important concepts of this basic education. So, Gandhiji went a step further and declared that the new education must not only be work-centered, means work must be there, but must also be self-supporting. You have to start with the conviction that our rural education ought to be made self-supporting if it is to be compulsory. So, somewhere that Mahatma Gandhi realized the importance of that self-sufficiency, and what he introduced that along with that work center method that they were going to apply in that, they also focused on self-supporting, where the people are helping each other and earning knowledge, where the people are helping each other, learning out of that, and then self-dependent also. So, this kind of thing or the agenda was taken up under this basic education. This education ought to be kind of insurance against unemployment. So, obviously, because in our country still many are there, those who are after completing their higher education are unemployed, because the lack of job opportunities are there. Not only from economic point of view, must this education be self-sufficient, not just for earning or for money or for fulfilling their needs or just getting the materialistic thing. It should not be only for that purpose, but also from the social and moral point of view. Means it should cover up all the spheres of the life. It should teach you that how you have to be in the society, how you have to have relation with the society members, how you must have the different moral values and the ethics which help the development of a good society, along with the economic point of view. This means at the end of the period of basic education, the individual should become self-reliant and self-supporting. So, the main purpose was that when the child is done with their basic education, at least they must come out as the one who is self-reliant, self-sufficient and self-supporting also. They should not be dependent on the other people. They should not look at their parents for providing them the further assistance in getting self-sufficient. So another one is modification of the views of Mahatma Gandhi on self-sufficiency. Little bit changes, modification here if we talk about, the changes were brought on the views which was suggested by Mahatma Gandhi on self-sufficiency. Dr. Zakir Hussain Committee pointed out the danger of overemphasis on craft work, because this was actually the one of the we can say the danger over there, that in that way we would be involving all the craft work in basic education. The more emphasis might be on craft work instead of learning. So Dr. Zakir Hussain appointed a committee and who pointed out towards the dangers of the same, the emphasis on craft work, and warned that the oral work, drawing and expression work should not be lost sight of. Means craft work was fine, but other than that, these oral work, drawing and other work of expression and involvement of the other activities must be there. Only that craft work should not be the center of that basic education. Other things should be involved at equal level. The educative aspect is more important than the economic aspect. That is very important point, because education doesn't mean only preparing you for the economic self-sufficiency. Main purpose of education is just bringing an overall development in a person. If thus shifted the emphasis from complete support to partial self-support, it was felt that with the earning through sale of craft products, uniform for the students and midday meal, or purchase of some necessary equipment may be made. So, it should be the partial self-support, not the full support for their fulfillments. It should be there that through that sale of crafts which the students were preparing, the school uniforms could be prepared or could be purchased, or midday meal can be arranged, as well as the other necessary equipment which are required for their learning could be arranged with the help of the same. The next part of basic education, that is free and compulsory education. 7-year free and compulsory education is one of the fundamentals of a scheme, and this cardinal principle has been emphasized due to two reasons. Two reasons were taken as that why the education was made free as well as compulsory in the Indian society. India is a democratic country, we all know, and success of this democracy depends upon the enlightened citizens. Until and unless the citizens are not educated, not literate, somewhere we would be having the impact of that in our politics also. Where the people would not be the educated one, and being in politics, the politician may get advantage of that. They can easily influence the mind of the people, those who are illiterate. But an educated class cannot be befooled so easily. So somewhere it was the need of the time that they made it free and compulsory, or adopted the aspect of this free and compulsory education. Some great leaders like Gopal Krishna Gokhale worked for the introduction of compulsory education for a long time. In his historic speech, Gokhale said that if elementary education was to spread in India, it must be made compulsory, and if it was to be compulsory, it must be free. So two things were mentioned, that firstly he focused on providing the elementary education to all, and it should be compulsory, because until and unless it is not the compulsion, the people might not be willing to accept that. Secondly, if you are making it compulsory, then how the people are going to afford it? So for that they made it free also. So both the features were added in the same, free as well as compulsory education. The second reason for introducing this was Gandhiji dreamed of a society that was free of exploitation, both economic as well as the social exploitation. This can be realized only if everyone is educated. And when the people are going to be exploited, you must be knowing, if a person is not aware about his or her rights, definitely he or she can be easily exploited by the others. But if the person is literate and educated, then it is quite difficult to exploit them, because they are aware about their rights and definitely they can fight for the same. So these two reasons were there, that why it was introduced, or why the concept of free and compulsory education was adopted. Another important feature of this basic education, if we talk about the another merit of basic education, if we talk about, that is mother tongue as the medium of instruction. That also was taken. It is now universally recognized that the young child can learn with great facility if the medium of instruction is its mother tongue. And easily it is really easy to convey the information to the another one in their mother tongue. Easily they are able to understand the thing, and that will help them to express themselves in much better way. Gandhiji asserted that no education is possible through foreign medium, and all elementary education must be imparted through the medium of mother tongue. So if we talk about the viewpoint of Gandhiji, he was not at all in the favor of providing the education through foreign medium. He does not want the English should be taken as the main subject or as the medium of instructions in Indian schools. Instead, he emphasized on that elementary education, the basic education when we are talking about, that must be imparted in mother tongue only. The another one is education through correlation. Here, correlation is one of the most important feature and the crux of basic education, that how the things are correlated with each other. Interconnected, here we can say that how they are interconnected with each other. In the scheme of education, Gandhiji wished to give knowledge as a compact whole. It should not be like that only the bookish knowledge you are getting and that is done. No. He focused or emphasized on providing the knowledge as a whole, in which the different activities, different subjects were included and they were correlated with each other, integrated with each other, and then the base of that coming out as the foundation for that basic education, which was the foundation for the development of a child. The modern educationists also advocated this, and they were in the favor of this kind of system. The basic education is therefore an effort to correlate the life of the child with his immediate physical and social environment. So, while talking about the learning, it should be connected with the physical as well as the social environment of the child. He must get involved in these all spheres, the physical sphere as well as the social sphere, while talking about getting the basic education, learning about the things. It is an effort to make knowledge easier, because when such sort of involvement is there, then it is quite easy to get the knowledge out of that. But simply asking you to sit in the classroom and giving the textbook and asking you to read out of that, learn out the things out of that, it will be quite difficult for you to concentrate as well as take interest in that kind of teaching or in that kind of study. Somewhere you won't be able to get or grab all the things out of it. But when your involvement is there, when the different things or the presentations are shown to you, or different, you are just taking outside for different activities, then only practically when you are getting involved in that, somewhere it is helping you to get or grab the more and the most of the knowledge, out of the same. And it is going to help to make knowledge easier and at the same time more meaningful. The knowledge at that time that you are going to get, that will be for lifetime. That will help you to face the complex life, the situation of the complex life in your society. So here the main agenda was just to keep focus on correlation of education with the different sphere of life. The next part is integrated knowledge. That also we have, as I am telling you from the beginning, that the things are interconnected and interrelated with each other. As we were talking about the learning by doing or the other points, the same way integrated knowledge is also taken as separately, but already it is involved in the previous points that we have discussed. Basic education treats knowledge as an integrated whole. Curriculum is built around three integrally related items, related centers. And what are these centers which we can talk about here? It includes the physical environment, the social environment, as well as the craft work. So, the connectivity of one with the another, how as a vicious circle, they all three are connected with each other. So, that should be the main focus in this basic education. That how being involved in their learning, they are involved with the physical environment also, they are involved with the social environment also, as well as including this craft work, means as a part, the basic foundation as a craft work also could be taken. Then the relationship with life, the another merit of the basic education. That a basic school must become an active environment where teaching is not cut off from the life of the miniature community. It should teach you, the different stories must be taken, the different activities must be, here the role play activities if we talk about, should be taken as a part of that, where the different situations are given to the child and then they are able to perform that role. You might have seen the different sort of activities in a school, that where the children are supposed to act the role of the different legend or different people. So that is the main purpose, that where they are able to learn about them. Like if we are asking them to play the role of the different freedom fighters in any of the activities. So somewhere they are performing their role as well as they are getting to know about them. Because when they are going to role play, when they are going to perform any activity on that, then definitely they are going to learn something about that. And that is going to be their social interaction. That social interaction will help them to learn the things in much better way. Education is to be directed to the needs of the life. So whatever the different needs of our life, it must be modified. The education system should not be the rigid one. It must be the flexible one. It should be like that. If changes are required, the time to time changes must be there as per the need of the society. It is not a pursuit. It is not just to pursue an idea which has no relation with or is totally isolated from the real situation of life. So, connectivity must be there. The next is training in citizenship. Basic education aims at developing ideas of mutual understanding and habits of cooperative and mutually helpful living among the students through its various practical and constructive programs. So, basic education, while we are talking about and involving the different factors as a part of it, we must also focus on developing the idea of mutual understanding, where the group activity can perform a platform for them. These group activities where the children are from the different groups, from the different religion, from the different caste, they all are taken together as a part of the one organization, and where they are able to perform the different group activities and habits of cooperative as well as mutual helpful living among the students. And this could be brought by the various practical and the constructive program that can be initiated, that can be started under that basic education, where it will motivate a child to help the another student or the another member of that organization. And when they are learning all these basic things at that level, then definitely when they will move to the another level, all the things will be already present in them. And the same way they would be able to spread the same awareness or the ideas in the society, where it will lead to the development of the successful and the more good society. The new education aims at giving the citizen of the future a keen sense of personal warmth, dignity and efficiency. So here if we talk about this new education system that we are talking about to introduce or has been introduced here, that is going to provide a personal warmth as well as the dignity and self-respect and efficiency to a student, which will help them to gain self-confidence in spite of their physical strength, and they would be able to face the situation, the realistic situations in their life. It is likely to strengthen in them the desire of self-improvement, and somewhere they will realize that what are the things where they are lagging behind or what the problems are there in their personality, and that self-realization will help them in self-improvement and social service and cooperative community. And this way they are going to learn these things, and which is going to make them more stronger for the society. The another merit of basic education, if we talk about, that is greater freedom for the teacher and the taught. Means unnecessary restrictions should not be there. The way the teacher is teaching as well as the way the students are asking to get knowledge out of the same. But it should be within the limit. It should not be like that no restrictions or no rules and regulations are there, and that is leading to some other negative way. In basic education, discipline does not mean order and external restraint, but an intelligent use of freedom. Discipline must be there, but without any sort of pressure on the student. Means freedom must be there, and along with that we need to combine discipline. So both should be interconnected. The teacher gets many opportunities to make experiments, think for himself and put his ideas and plan to practice. And if we talk about, the teachers are also getting the different opportunities to make or to do the different sort of experiments according to the child, different activities they are conducting. They are also looking for their self-growth, and they are putting their ideas and different plans for the practice. And these experiments and all the things, the way they are talking about the development of child, the different things, the different teaching method they are introducing, it must be given freedom to these teachers, where they can apply the more appropriate method according to their need or according to their requirement. The next one is basic education is not a class education. The ultimate objective of basic education is to create a social order in which there is no unnatural division between have and have not, and everyone is assured of a living wage and the right to freedom. So, if we are talking about the ultimate objective or ultimate aim of the basic education, that is just to make all the self-sufficient. Equality must be there without having any sort of discrimination among the society people. There should not be any such sort of gap between the rich and poor, high caste or low caste people. All should be taken equal. And when all these things we are going to start from the beginning, from the basic education as a foundation we are going to provide, then definitely when these children will grow up, will move to the next level, definitely they are not going to talk about these differences. And slowly and gradually, the society will be free from all such kind of problems that are still prevailing in our society. So all these were the very important points, and the features as well as the merits of basic education we can say. Now we are going to talk about the different demerits.